Hello, good morning. We are waiting for the start of the conference, but the participants are still drinking coffee. It's a very simple tool to ask questions to the panelists. And you just have your
Godine is Jaz bom vam predala besedo, pa se boste pa sami odločili. Good morning. Welcome to Ljubljana. And all that are with us virtual via Zoom. Some of you switched today to Zoom. It's 2022. There are more participants, as I mentioned, joining us virtually than in person from different parts of Europe. Just wave. Thank you. And those that are in Ljubljana for the first time, some of you. And I'm Mojca Černilč-Koprivnikar. I'm the CEO of Prosperia, where we've been organizing events focused on the very moderator. And the digitalization of energy sector is inevitable and it's already underway, but there are many challenges. The current energy crisis by means of our collaboration and sharing best practices. First regional European edition of this summit, which otherwise takes place already for the 5th time, which aims to become the leading, how to say, make it true without your participation. So I sincerely hope that the event will achieve of the digital and energy world. The digital transformation of energy requires both tones, and the fact that you are here today is the best proof that you are one of these people. So, at the same time, helping us make this event happen. I also thank European projects Big Data for Next Generation and SynergyNet, Slovenia Stik, Računalniške novice, and Montiel Energetica, who are also with us today. We are live streaming the first hour of this event. We're sharing some inspirational thoughts already with you. I hope you like them. So shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you land among the stars. Ambassadors, and we will always appreciate that. You will have some privileges in the years to come. Let us make this. But before I kindly ask our first speaker to join us, I would like to share some information. So as I mentioned, the conference will invite you to stay until the end. You can find the speakers' bios on the conference internet page. So I will, introduce finish, I will kindly ring a bell. We have a bell, so they have enough time to conclude. And audiences. And I kindly ask you to open your internet browser, so take your phones, mobile phone, and just open your internet browser, whichever you use, and type menti.com board over there. And the first question is very easy, it's just for like icebreaker. We'll wait a bit today. This is just for starting this event. It's not a difficult question. You can even choose more emojis. Flourishing, curious. Someone is already shooting for the moon. Yeah. We can wait a bit, yeah. And next question. Learn something new. So now the speakers know what they have to do. I'm just the moderator. Thank you. And now, to get deeper into the about digital transformation of energy, there are no right or wrong answers. So, just we will. I see it's a challenge for the future, not so much for now. Already to remember a bit this slide, so later we will comment a bit. Uncertainty. We are organizing this conference. We also share the opinion that it's quite urgent. Later on, so what do companies such as ABB, E.ON, Elster, Oracle Utilities, and these chemicals have in common? Well, Mr. Smart Metering Industry. So, Mr. Gonzalez, please join me and share with us why intelligence is a critical enabler. I hope it works. Yes, green light is on.
Yeah, thank you, Mojca, and thank yourself for this speech. I asked myself, so we can talk about about intelligence, about data, about a lot of things. But I would like to start with one question. How much you pay for electricity next month? Think about it. And you don't need to tell me that. If you don't know it, you are 98% of the population. So we are talking about you will be, most probably, most of you at 98%. It's unbelievable, but this is true. So what does it say to us? The question to move on into the future. So we need then to ask ourselves, personally, the nice words, urgent. That's urgent. Because if we don't know our consumption, if we profile, we might not be able even to make the first step in the energy transition. To go to a digital transformation, and urgently, as we always said, all of us here, has to start with that. So that is that, and we as an industry, we are prepared to support the communities to go through this transition. And in the past, we had that. It is about data. We are very critical. We really sure that we can share our data, our energy data, for the benefit of. We're not sharing the data. We're concerned about the energy data. While I think that, and you share the data, your personal data there, but you're concerned to share your energy data. While future guarantee that you will be able to switch off your phone. Because did you thought about it? That it might be. So I want really to encourage you in this 2 days to think about it. And we need it. And in the energy sector, still people believe that they to manage this transition, which is important for complete Europe. So and as well to contribute, that will never fly. So I think that that also these days are available, yeah, and also methodologies to protect your personal. I think all of you knows that, they don't need to underline, yeah, that is available. But it is, say, important asset, yeah, for all of us, yeah, for the societies, for the people. It starts with us, and it cannot be that we always, yeah, look to, say, government, industries, Facebook, and all of that actually became successful because they were the ones that were the drivers. And that is the same here. So in encouragement that I would like now, so we will as a company tell you that it's everything available. You can get the data, you can get everything is possible, but it starts with all of us. So, and the transition will be that we go then from data to its, let's say, energy environment, yeah, from all aspects, whether it is from generation, from consumption, grid management, that is all reliable and future-proof environment. So I don't want to bother you too long. I would like to thank the key asset, all of us here, individually on a professional side, and wish you a great 2 days with a lot of inspiring but different thoughts that you are the one that determines the future. Thank you.
Thank you. A short interview, if I may so. Yes? Microphone, please. Ela? Yes. Well, wait for the green light. Yeah, here.
Thank you very much.
Can you
My name is
introduce
Kalle. I'm from Elering, the student here, so that I'm not interested. And if I pay very little, then that might be true, and that's not a concern. But I'm not really well, but I don't know the price, so therefore it's pretty difficult to also estimate the cost. But even more, I think if I want to be, and I'm using the spot price again, who has a fixed price, again, easier to estimate, of course. And finally, it's not what you consume as energy in your car, the fuels, Or what is your energy content in your everyday purchases of goods and services? Do you know?
It was also a little bit provocative, the question, because that starts with that, and you went then into more detail. Start to think about it first. What's my electricity price? What is? And I can tell you that if you ask, and I asked some friends exactly that question, most of the day, 95% will say yes, I know it. It's 168, 185. Funny enough, gas, whatever price, but we know the gasoline price. And that is the major topic that we need to,
Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, Senad Aruk. Hello guys. So I would like to ask you about, you mentioned that you know, the consumers are driving the Facebook, Twitter and stuff like that, right? And where the Facebook...
No, it's... Now you got me. That's a very good point, yeah. But the is on energy. By the way, one of the biggest consumers. But again, I think that I still believe it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit betting, and on energy we don't bet. This is not work if there is no electricity. We cannot switch on our phones if there is no electricity. All is about the energy. But yeah. And we are very concerned always, we don't know, and we don't want also to share this particularly on the wrong methodology, which is on energy. Yeah. So, and without that, we will not manage this digital transition.
Yeah. We will later on. Burning question here. Just introduce yourself, please.
Yes, Gorazd Tajman from LS, Slovenian TSO. Digitalization, that we will help end consumers lower their invoices by 20%. And they expect that 15%, how do you see it? Will we just give the data to the industry? Or, and here it comes another problem, in the same document it states that only a bit that will be supported. How we will tackle this issue, you know? Not just giving the data, but how will we teach the people to participate?
Well, it's again that we go through. But if we I think that if we are too concerned again to get this data, which I don't have, by the way, and I don't think that anyone has a real. Really, I'm living in Germany. I pay 60 cents per kilowatt hour. Yeah, just that 60 cents. Look to what you pay. I'm sure you pay in the range of 17, 18 cents per kilowatt hour. Match my energy and get my efficiency progress and contribute to the future prosperity of this region. So that is a major thing that we need to think about it. So back to your question, that's the case, but it starts with that. We need to start to say, I want to share with you guys, TSO, that you can manage the load, yeah? Generation, yeah? E-car, how can I manage my own consumption? Everything, it will be an ecosystem that the day we are here as well. Yeah?
Thank you. Any other burning question? So then I have many questions, but I will just stick to two now. Okay. Yeah. So what do you think? But yeah. So what would you?
Again, we can go through too many. Yeah. As I said, that's. I think that the first digitalization, so there's my personal data, which is my consumption, that I need to. That can be utilized. Yeah. By the way, we're moving to be prosumers, yeah, more anymore, and you transmit the energy through high voltage, low voltage, or medium voltage, low voltage. No, you're also part of the generation concept. So it will be the grids. So again, first it starts with us. Yeah, that is my point.
Thank you. And the second question, is it possible to manage household devices automatically? How far are you with?
No, this is possible, and smart meters are definitely a big asset. Yeah, and it's not because we are a smart meter provider, but that is where the cash register as well of the utilities. That is where, let's say, intelligence that you would have then in the grid or in the network. There are much more, but it's an important asset, and but it's a combination. Smart meter is a crucial, important piece of the whole say, the whole path that we have to go through.
Thank you. A comment from you, please.
Well, last comment
Yeah.
is very very simple. Yeah, let us move on and really, as society and human beings, the whole our history, and don't be concerned. Yeah, I think that there's a great opportunity. Let's see this more as a
Nice conclusion. We can repeat it at the end, perhaps. So thank you, and
thank you.
the applause. So, this presentation, and she wanted to be with us here today, but unfortunately she has a business trip, so she was kind enough to share her statement, video statement. So just take a few minutes and we'll hear what Mrs. So has a PhD in electrotechnics and IT, so she's the right person for this.
Important event dedicated to digital and green energy transition, which is very high on the agenda of Slovenia at the EU level and worldwide. Today, our society is facing major challenges. Safety are some of the most evident challenges that we're confronted with. For our government, solving these issues is of particular importance. Our focus is rapid geopolitical landscape, and in the times of energy crisis, the digital transition is urgent. Ideally, the green and digital transitions go hand in hand. They reinforce each gems and slash carbon emissions. In order to make the twin transition successful, we need digital technologies that are accessible and affordable to everyone. The goal is to cover 100% of our households with the next generation of fixed broadband access networks. I'm convinced that particular attention should be given to open data that ensure accessibility, transparency. Slovenia is very successful in the field of public sector open data and is a trendsetter in the open data indicator in this left behind. In order to achieve that, we need to bridge the gender, age, and geographical digital divide. Also, upskilling and research on a national curriculum reform to include digital competences into the whole education system. When it comes to safety and security, we should educate everyone, especially children, about online risks and prevent and counter with the trust of citizens and businesses. Let us work on twinning green and digital solutions for better quality.
Thank you. Impact of digital transformation. And the concern of our next speaker is, can smart digitalization save with several commission services and external stakeholders? He also works on digitalization for service. And gentlemen, please welcome Ilias Iacovidis, advisor, European Commission, DG Connect. He is with us live, but not... Yes? Could you follow the first part of our conference? Yes?
Yes, I did.
Yes. So
exactly how in Slovenian you say that, but happy to be here. First of all, I would like to say the questions from the audience was, what about the 50% of people that do not master digital? And that is a big issue, but I would like to raise, it's now discussed in Council and Parliament, but that will give the smart meter data, or whatever data is produced on this data, you as the owner of the smart meter or your house can give it to a third party. So there are ways, and we also expect that this will boost some of these data economy possibilities. As a response to Liz, I was privileged enough to also meet your minister at the World Economic Forum meeting. Central question, what is the green and digital transitions? What are they about? So media mostly talks about, it's the conflict of the digital and energy transition, because they talk about the electricity consumption of the digital world, polluting, or how energy war are the data centers, the telecoms. You will see also how much e-waste is about digital energy. Let's talk about the electricity. Few numbers, don't try to capture them. I will send link. Production is about 176,000 terawatt hour to electrifying our energy provision. 8 to 10% of this electricity goes to digital exajoules. So electricity is about 100 exajoules worldwide. 8 to 10 means 8 to 10 exajoules go to electricity. That's a major question. The immediate thing that comes to people's mind when they think of digital and electricity is what kind of digital data, management. The immediate thing that is already happening is that there is a leakage. Like imagine water pipes of leakage, and digitalization of IoTs measuring actually can save 2% of total electricity in Serbia. And you can actually, if you're interested, go and see the numbers in Serbia, how much of leakage savings they have, because we're talking only 2% of electricity. Another one that you see is how do we actually create. There's a lot of digitalization already happening. For example, the turbines on the offshore wind, if you 100 tons, that is 100 tons savings in materials just to design it and monitor it, balance it out, so you don't need so much weight to stabilize it. And there are many, many other topics. So there is teleworking. In Germany, if 40% of the workforce energy. But of course, Germany is Germany. Other countries is different, but there are rebound effects. So where I'm getting to is to tell you that one big farming. You can apply digitalization in buildings. And I will talk more about the buildings because that's kind of the killer app. If you don't govern the use of this, you may actually have more energy and more emissions than you has not been realized yet. It's huge. It's much bigger than the consumption. Consumption is measurable. We can measure exactly for many reasons. First, we don't measure. We don't know how to measure the enablement of digitalization. We are really bad in utilizing the data. They themselves don't know how to utilize the data. People themselves don't know how to utilize the data. Actually, there are rebound effects that you change people's behavior, you change system behaviors, and from a theoretical with digital over and over and over. I give you two very quick examples. Precision farming, your plants, so many drones, AI connectivity to your meteorological station, satellites imaging subscription. You can see they don't have knowledge how to use it. Instead, if you tell the pesticides or the fertilizer producer, become a digital company, to monitor and drones and whatever, to spray or to apply fertilizers, only if soil, healthier food, there is a ways to do it. There are ways where you can actually do worse as a service. In the mobility as a service, you can say, well, I give you this mobile-based application. Anywhere you want to go, it's like Uber. I can tell you, take this car, take this bus, take a day, whatever you need, or if it's just call us. So that is perfect. But how do you make sure that people don't buy their own cars? How do you make sure start putting objects? Because tomorrow this will be autonomous cars and autonomous buses. If they start putting objects in it, suddenly we are from digital at whatever, without proper use, governance, and strong rules. Most probably, it will be more energy, more has to be designed, used, and governed properly. Otherwise, no surprise, you may actually be where you didn't want to be. Emissions. 40% of the energy that we use goes to heating, cooling, managing the buildings. And you know all these programs there is the quickest way to upgrade and save 10 to 15% of the energy is to do a smart build, actually be net positive. Even if you subtract all the footprint of the digitalization that is needed to run the building, it takes money, it takes time, it takes knowledge, it takes capacity, it takes jobs, and the skills and everything. So to EU member states, there is the Repower EU. Are the member states using it correctly? So if you look at 37% on green, what is there as digitalization of my greening of my country? Very little. The understanding how to use digitalization to green my country, to digitalize my energy sector. So there is a lot of understanding, there's a lot of talks, but when you look at where the money goes, whoever can actually have something to do with the national plans of greening the country, the sustainability transition, try to see, are we 2 to 3 times the energy consumption of ICT world if you just do smart buildings, the building smarter, scale for it to happen. So while the potential is there, 40% of total energy means 10% of that is used by ICT. So only the buildings can save double. But for that, we need to know what we're doing, and we need to actually put the capacity and money on it. And it's not happening. Consuming? Potentially, yes, but not proven.
Yes, for this very interesting presentation and new perspectives that digitalization. Yes, microphone. Just introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you.
That's okay, I can see you.
Yeah. Okay.
My question is, new technology in itself, and even is that new technology is more pricey than useful, the older one, the proven one, and most of the time the price is right. And I think even from the CBA guidelines of European Union and in our company is, how can we convince our regulators, our countries, we have to pay less? How we should discuss that topic with them? Because it's not easy. It's very hard to push new technology.
And I mean, everybody who's buying, the biggest fear I see when talking to mayors is, but if I buy this, am I going to be completely out? So that fear of cost, and that cost being irrelevant within a year or two, is big turn-off to buy and to invest. ICT is the biggest impact ICT can have. If you had to choose where to put ICT, so cloud as a service, ICT as a service, virtualization. My suggestion to you is don't buy equipment. Don't invest in ICT institution. Go through green public procurement for ICT, where they have to convince you that you are not only the green digital coalition, one word, greendigitalcoalition.eu. We work on a method that public procurers can use. Farming, buildings, everything should be a service, don't buy equipment. So this procurement guidelines and guidelines how to digitize are done. Service will be beneficial on the 3 aspects of sustainability. There are 3 dimensions when we talk sustainability: economic, environmental, and social. And it's not only the price. They have links of social issues and environmental issues that the providers have to.
Thank you.
And don't be fooled by new because it's XYZ better in camera and performance and chips. Check what.
Other burning questions? Yes? Just introduce yourself.
Kerin Eles, Slovenian TSO. We all talk about digitalization of the energy sector, but I think this is we heard a lot about smart buildings, smart metering, management systems of buildings. If we have a pipeline filled with water, it doesn't matter how many sensors you discuss this, because if we talk about digitalization of the energy sector, it's very easy for a common mind. In all these discussions, we need to be very careful. If I understand that, let's go back to my case with water, because it's really, so there is let's say, a button we can press, so decreasing the consumption. This is the smart building application, these are smart meters, and so on and so forth. Impact on the environment is as low as possible. But the pipeline itself, well, it had a lot of very famous physics that proved that world still has eyes when we talk about digitalization of the energy sector, because it's a very tricky word. So beginning and at the end of the pipeline, and I will see where my losses are. Yeah, no pipeline is perfect, so I can have. So is it really fair, even on the European level, to talk about digitalization of the whole energy sector or to develop some sort of a energy saving culture, and then by that the whole industry will follow. I mean, if the consumption...
Very important point. Don't take it, definitely I don't want to say that the TSO need to be energy production that produces and sends through save 2% by measuring pipelines. That will not save us. This is not the major issue. You say, of course, consumption is important, but we need to get off the model of there is a one power plant, sure that we don't overproduce when there is not enough consumption, or we don't underproduce. We need to decentralize because there'll be many micros that are very much more complex than one TSO production. That is saying, and again, that was talking to Schneider, we want to avoid blackout. And that's a real 7 o'clock in the evening. You know your peaks, so you know your job better. We need to know whom to. That means we need to be real-time connected to those that are consuming, and that's mostly capacity limit, and we don't want to go into blackout because it takes days to come back. And people don't know what that means to be in blackout since many of beating. Who can switch off the big furnace or big consumption power plant that power plant heats? So this type of digitalization is, let's say, the savings of the waste of the pipelines. It's the minuscule that's kind of it's big in value, but it's not the most important between consumers. There's a lot of data and consumers' role. There's a role for the infrastructure. But suddenly when they made the calculation, they said, well, the little companies around in our area may not get all the energy they need. It was a revolt. They went to the emissions from data centers and telecom the lowest possible. We promised that by 2030, all our data centers will be climate neutral, carbon neutral, and will go down, but the electricity will go up, maybe 14% tomorrow instead of 8%. So we need to plan the digital effects from all the sectors, including better management of the distribution of electricity in a decentralized manner. We didn't want to give the impression that the old job is on the TSOs to digitize themselves. Definitely not.
Thank you, Ilias Jakovic. So thank you, and please give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Of course, welcome to the next speaker. I really have to acknowledge your presence here today. It's more than just a presence. I always say that usually people at the audience already during the presentations that will follow now, 2 presentations and then a round table, so you can enter your questions you can already enter your questions for next speakers. So the next theme is the role of TSO-DSO cooperation towards the energy transition, and how TSO-DSOs and project management division and head of diagnostics analytics center of ELES. You were just on stage. The next speakers.
Thank you very much for their speeches. But the main question that did pop up in my mind is, why now? Yeah, why now? Years. Yeah, so why is this happening now? I even Googled in the meantime. So the first 91? No? But you are at the moment the closest one. So it was in 1977, first smart meter patent. The rollout began in 2010, so the massive rollout of smart meters. And the question is, why now? I mean, why is it so different than 20 years that we waited so long? If you look at the industry, not just our industry, but also the, wind generators. Well, in engineering world, this is called 3D modeling, and we use it since, I use it since 20 an airplane, right? So again, why now? What's different? So what do we need to push us over the edge to start thinking our hands and say, well, why shouldn't we do that? And nobody was paying attention. So what's different? What do you think? It's an occasion or crisis or a technology leap. Yeah? So something has to really change in the environment. I know that in Slovenia we had like a power plant there, a small generator in 1900, I think it was 1907, but it didn't work out. Why not? Because when the generator was not running, people living there were without electricity. So be on your generator. And so the network was designed, the grid, the electrical grid. And what's happening now? One of the most complex systems in the world. But let's be self-sufficient again, like 100 years ago, or is nearby. So, and this is also how it happens today. We can all be self-sufficient, trip it off, then the fun begins. Is digitalization of the electrical grid something new? What do you think?
And if I may give my comment on that, is that, and I come back to my small speech, is that they give us all the feeling and the impression that we are in a secure, and but where did, and nobody was thinking about, how does it come that the lights are? We were in the welfare environment. Everything was nice. And human beings are like this, that when we start, that there is as for energy resources globally, I think that we need all to accept that. So that is the reason why I think that we have to only, and this is the times that we are now, that came only through the mindset change. Question, why now? It is because we are at the edge of our energy, and we have to do that. So if we don't do that, I think that our obligations, and I think as human beings are like that, we need a sustainable, reliable world is our obligation, and that starts now. That is for me maybe the answer to your question.
Fair enough, thank you. I see we will have a very good roundtable. Well, just it's quite well digitalized. This we need to accept that, because, well, I will give you an example. Have you ever tried to drive? Have you ever tried that? I guess not, because you're still all alive. Yeah, but this is how the electrical grid with no windows, and he's there for 12 hours. So, and so on. And this was here since, I don't know, 50, 60 years ago. It was just never considered. Previously, very, very strict hierarchy, and suddenly you had many players, you had many services, and these needed to be connected again. And one of the options, we will first introduce our next speaker, who will tell us a bit about such platforms. Please, I will not waste your time. Just please say a few words about yourself. Yes. We had a very nice discussion.
Thank you for this introduction, and nice to be here with you. Thanks for being here, and I'm going to bring a concept that we're developing in 5 Northern European markets at the moment to you, called Equity Landscape, and that's where digitalization takes place. I would like to start with a small video, and then have some words around it.
New perspective on the role consumers can play in the energy transition. This is Ariana. She is getting us. The energy sector is changing. We see a growing number of new energy sources that generate electricity.